acceptable.
Does that work? Hello, welcome along to Formula One testing here in Bahrain. I'm here with Alex. We've been watching the first day of testing, plenty to get stuck into. Alex, who have you been impressed with today and the reasons why?
Well, there's 3 teams in particular I think it's worth talking about, Ben. I think obviously the pace setter, the reigning world champion, McLaren. It couldn't really have gone smoother, I reckon. Lost a little bit of time after the lunch break when Oscar Piastri was replaced by Lando Norris. But speaking to the team, they're insisting absolutely nothing to worry about. It was simply because after a few install laps for Norris, they were just working through the setup changes that they'd planned to do based on what they calculated the morning running, what they wanted to get through in their programme in the afternoon. And after that, like at many teams, reliability bulletproof, everything looked quick, and they even had time to massively cover the car in Flovia's paint at the end of the day, covering Lando Norris in bubble wrap as they did it.
Practical joke with that, wasn't there, in the sense that there was a photographer trying to get pictures and they'd all lined up in front of the car trying to protect it from prying eyes, and one photographer tried to get a shot over the top, and there's a little bit of banter. So it does feel like, you know, there is a feel-good factor around McLaren
100%.
After day one of the first season, the first test.
And they would have known that because they'd been on TV the whole time the Flovias were being applied. As I said, Lando Norris covered in bubble wrap to stop his visor getting covered in green paint. But anyway, it's not just McLaren. I thought Mercedes, obviously second in the times, but it's deeper than that. Just speaking to people at the team, they say the atmosphere, the energy is... Things are revitalised. That's what they're trying quite heavily to push. But things just seem to go smoothly. You had Kimi Antonelli topping the times in the morning running. He was sent to the end of the pit lane. He was out first. That's a sign of a team with confidence, and Mercedes absolutely insisting that the steps that they have tried to improve in terms of the handling of the car, they're seeing it, and the drivers are feeding that back okay.
So George Russell was second quickest in total time, and of course Kimi Antonelli, you mentioned there, he was 7th, I believe.
He was, yes. And the other team I want to talk about, Red Bull. I think it was interesting. A few little niggles is what I've got written down here. So Liam Lawson spinning. Christian Horner says that was down to a gust of wind. It is, or well, at least it was, incredibly windy here in Bahrain, particularly in the morning. But then Max Verstappen off the road a few times. We saw that day one last year. And what happened? The RB20, not in the end a very well handling car. However, Red Bull, in Team Insiders, we've been speaking to Helmut Marko, they're insisting their long run pace is excellent. So as ever with testing, ignore the headline times, dig a little bit deeper, and things look a bit happier.
This is the first car as well, we should say, without Adrian Newey's input.
It is, yeah. I mean, obviously he won't have been felt at Aston Martin yet because he hasn't even started working there. But yeah, interesting. I don't know whether this is just stirring the pot, but Helmut Marko says the one team that he's disappointed in so far, Ferrari.
Interesting. Alex, we're here outside the Mercedes garage. We've got 6 rookies, of which Antonelli is one. How would you assess their performances so far, day one?
I think quite hard to go into details on a lot of them, but yeah, certainly as I was saying in our earlier video, yeah, Antonelli, very smooth start from what Mercedes was saying. 5 or 6 rookies. It kind of depends on whether you think Liam Lawson is a rookie or not. I think he is, as I said.
A couple of races, didn't he, last year towards the end?
And a few more in 2023. But yeah, technically, full season rookie, I guess we have to go with that. And yeah, like I said, Liam Lawson spinning, that seemed to be the most errant moment for all of those guys. But yeah, just running down the order. Antonelli 7th of the rookies, well, 7th of everybody, but top rookie. 8th for Lawson, 11th for Isack Hadjar at RB. Gabriel Bortoletto 12th for Sauber. Jack Doohan, I nearly said Mick Doohan because I always nearly say Mick Doohan. 14th for Alpine, and then Ollie Bearman 20th, quite considerably off the pace, but running in the morning session, things very different when it comes to that for Haas.
I tell you, one of the performances which I was impressed by was Isack Hadjar. I mean, he kind of was under the radar, but the fact he did nothing wrong is obviously a sign of encouragement. Very last minute call up into that RB team, and he hasn't done anything wrong so far. I know it's early days, but he hasn't done anything wrong, which is an encouraging sign.
Absolutely. I think when it comes to the RB, just the fact that it looks very compliant. It did handle really well here last year. I remember I haven't yet had a chance to go wander trackside, but just thinking back to what I was seeing in 2024, that car did look very compliant, and it seems to be from the TV footage that I've seen so far that has translated. Yeah.
One of the things, Oliver Bearman, 20th quickest time at the back. I think it's going to be a hard season for Haas, isn't it? All the noise is coming out from the team. We're looking for, really for 26 and making sure we're going to have a good start for that new era, new power unit, new chassis, etc. It's going to be a hard year for him, isn't it? It's going to be a hard learning curve.
It certainly is in the fact that he's going up against one of the hardest teammates we know in Formula One, Esteban Ocon. But I don't know if I agree that it's necessarily going to be hard for Haas specifically. I think they're in that mix with all the midfield teams who are also all looking towards 2026. How often has James Vowles at Williams said 2026 is the target, etc., etc. So yeah, I think that Haas won't necessarily be despondent, and also like the times in terms of the morning times, just it was extremely windy. It's freezing cold as well. Not allowed to really mention it, but for Bahrain, it's quite notable. So yes, I wouldn't read too much into that with Bearman so far.
Awesome, thank you. Final element that we was going to talk about is who has got the most work to do. Now, Alex, you have a very particular answer about this, don't you? And it's to do with the things behind us, the bright lights.
Absolutely. I think of anyone who's got work to do, it's got to be the circuit. Losing an hour's running to a power failure, pretty bad, pretty embarrassing for the organisers, I would say. I mean, to be fair, they did work to restore everything. The hour was added on to the end of the day. Nothing was ultimately lost. But considering, you know, where are we in the Middle East? These are oil-rich, energy sort of producing countries. It was a bit of a shocker, but yeah, I mean, obviously we've been told that it was a sort of a local substation thing that happened. It affected the entire region. Of course, we're on an island and everything's quite small, so it wasn't just localized to the track. But yeah, it's not what you want in terms of the PR, the visibility, and things like that. And everything seemed a bit chaotic. It sort of took a long time to explain what was going on, whether things were completely safe, whether, you know, what was going on with screens being down, lights being off, were generators needed for the teams. Yeah, it certainly added an element of chaos to the day, let's put it that way.
Hopefully we'll be back tomorrow, and with the lights on, everything will be cool for the second day of testing. So join us then, and we will round up all the runners and riders as to what happened tomorrow, and catch us then. Thanks.